Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. Now we're taking another look at RLC. After the Bitcoin crash, essentially, seeing what we can do to recover, find a good entry point for you, and just help you understand best practice for this current climate. Okay, now I'm not a financial advisor, I have years of trading experience, but just know this is for educational purposes only, and you should always do your own research. If you're interested in $25 in Bitcoin, there's a link in the description below for Voyager application. I use that on the side. Furthermore, we also have a link to Telegram community and my Discord channel if you're interested there. If you'd like to show your support too, there's always an option for Patreon, all in the description below. So hope you can check that out in your own time, and thanks again for joining me here. Let's go ahead and check the video out. Let's get right to it. Alright folks, let's go ahead and take a look at RLC. And just before we do, just like to preface, if you're new to the channel, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to get a quick baseline of what's going on over that market, just to understand kind of what's what the haps is, right? And I think we all know what the haps is today, with a unique shift in momentum from Bitcoin. Let's take a look. Now when I say unique, this is actually par for the course, right? We're kind of getting used to this major sell-off from Bitcoin, and unfortunately we had another one that hit and tapped on 30,000 even. Thankfully the price has come back up to roughly 39,000, but it wasn't pretty this morning, roughly about 8 hours ago, in that range there. Either way, at this point in time, we currently have a major resistance level at about 42,300. That was tested about 4 times, and then the next major resistance is 46,700. Okay. Now at this point, price is well below all the moving averages, so not much can be really said. It's probably safe to expect Bitcoin to drop even further, but who knows at this point? With all the news, things are kind of going south. And if you didn't know, by the way, what happened essentially with Bitcoin is just that the price had dropped significantly because China no longer allowed financial transactions in the banking industry. Now I don't know the specifics. Again, this is fundamental. Do your own research and look into that. But that essentially caused the price to drop and plummet once again. So we got the Elon candle, China candle here. So it's interesting how things worked out, but it has recovered fairly well. It's not too far off from where it was at before. Okay, so that is Bitcoin. We're looking at Ethereum next. Now Ethereum essentially performing the same. All right, so the best way to understand Ethereum right now is that it's almost a mirror image of Bitcoin. In a lot of ways, the patterns are almost identical. Yes, it's slightly more green than Bitcoin is. We were able to close a green candle here, but again, it's not that much better. Okay, so the price is hovering right around 26.56, and last time we looked at this, it was in the 3,500 range. So not great. Price being under the 200-day moving average also. So bear in mind that we've got a lot of work ahead of us if we're going to see Ethereum come back up to 4,000. All right, now looking at RLC. This is the 4-hour chart. We're going to switch over to the 1-day chart, and we'll probably go ahead and just get rid of a couple of these here because they're not really going to matter for a little while, right? So I'll keep the support level there. In fact, we'll pull that out and see how that works. But generally speaking, we always look at the 1-day chart first, move our way down to the 4-hour, 15-minute, 1-minute chart to help find a good entry point so we can understand kind of specifically what's going on here with RLC. Now RLC was doing awesome. It hit a high of roughly 1650. That was approximately a week and a half ago, and it ramped up quite significantly. Makes sense the retracement that occurred recently, but it's retracing a lot more than we were expecting for obvious reasons because Bitcoin sold off. Okay, now keep in mind when Bitcoin does this kind of sell-off, a lot of them will rally back like we saw, but oftentimes it takes a couple more days of consolidation from Bitcoin until we see any further movement in the altcoins itself. So if you've heard of altcoin season and all that, that takes a moment for things to calm down, right? Because everything's like really exaggerated right now and the price keeps going everywhere. So right now, a lot of the alternative coins are doing the same thing. They're kind of performing similar to Bitcoin because nobody knows if this is a bear market yet or not, right? Well, for lack of better terms, altcoin season happens as a result of Bitcoin selling off, so it's likely it's going to occur or starting. But at this point in time right now, let's just look at the data and kind of see where we're at, because It's hard to specifically speculate, but just know that it is pretty normal for the price action to kind of jump around for the first couple of days after Bitcoin sells off. Okay? So we'll just try our best to look at the technicals here. So first of all, RSI is looking in better shape here. It's definitely a lot lower. It's trending downwards in the 45 range. There's no indication of support or resistance levels yet in that sense, because of the fact that the price is obviously retracing, and when we thought it hit its bottom, it went way below today because of what happened with Bitcoin. Okay. So I wouldn't be surprised if the price comes right back up to this support and resistance level of 650 and tests it a few times, eventually breaks above and stays above as a new support. MACD is implying that we have strong bearish sentiment. Big surprise on that. Pretty normal, and all the moving averages are trending below. The price bounced off the 100-day moving average. Looking at the 4-hour chart. Now this is where it gets interesting, right? Because we want to try to buy find the best value, right? And try to buy the dip. Now it can be difficult to buy the lowest point in the dip, right? Now we might have already had that, of course. It shouldn't come down much lower. It does look like the 200-day moving average is working as a pretty strong support. And obviously, if you can see, the RSI is under 30. Now, I recently did a video on how to use RSI the most effectively. We can check that out in the description or the card above. But what I'm trying to get at here is that the best tactic isn't to just buy in as soon as the RSI comes under 30, because that could have been a bad entry point. We want to wait for the RSI to typically come back up to touch 30. In other words, you get a lot more potential for the RSI to kind of average itself out. And when it comes back up over 30, that would be a case in point right at that time to consider taking entry. So it might be a little premature, but again, we want to probably look at the 15-minute chart to identify that, see what's going on. But for right now, on this chart right now, this is kind of what we see so far. The RSI is extremely oversold. So honestly, it's probably a pretty good value right now at this point in time based on the overall sentiment. Yeah. But as you can tell, the price is below support. So typically I like to recommend that you wait for the support level to be tested before taking entry, but the support level on the 200-day moving average was tested and held above. So that's a very good sign. Anything close to this 200-day moving average would probably be a good entry point. Just keep that in mind. Now let's look at the 15-minute chart, just kind of see what's going on here. I'll go ahead and turn off the moving averages, see what the VWAP tells us. Price is traveling under VWAP. And if you're new to the channel, volume weighted average price, the VWAP line, this blue line here, basically just tells us what the average volume is in the last 24 hours expressed as a price. And the current volume is telling us that $5.15 should be the price. So we're really close to that. It's pretty normal, pretty standard. If you're planning to take entry based on the 15-minute chart, always wait for the price to come above the VWAP to ensure that we have that confirmation and it's moving in a bullish sentiment, bullish direction if you're going long. Now let's look at the EMA, and I always use the EMA 15, by the way. Most of the standards are going to be set for 9 or 20. 20 is a good one. You can still use that. 15 works a little bit better for me just because it kind of averages the two out. So I like to use this a little bit more consistently. And as we can see, the price is trying to break above the EMA. So until it does, it hasn't found its bottom yet. We want to kind of wait and perhaps ensure that we have confirmation. So a good entry point in most cases when it's doing this is to wait for the price to jump above the VWAP and to hold above the EMA line for no less than, just say, 30 minutes on the 15-minute chart. So in other words, we want to wait 30 minutes for confirmation, and that confirmation I'm referring to is just two solid green bars closing above the EMA and or preferably the VWAP line. Okay. Now looking at the RSI on the 15, it's looking pretty good. It's kind of right in the middle. So honestly, the price is neither oversold or overbought. So like I mentioned on the 4-hour chart, really how much lower is it going to get? It's hard to say specifically because the fact that, looking at this, we can tell that it hit its lowest point earlier this morning. Okay. So again, probably at any point in time, anything underneath this resistance line of 650 would probably be a good price. That'd be my guess there. Okay, so if you didn't buy this dip, that's okay. See if you can buy it sometime in the near future here. Just again, wait for confirmation if possible, because it is making lower lows right here, and we could see that continue if the EMA line isn't broken and held above. Now look at the 1-minute chart. Just to quickly note here, good news is the price is over the EMA line and is trending in an upward fashion there and holding. So this is a bullish type of run, again, albeit only 1 minute candlesticks. So this is not a large time frame. This could shift at any time, but if you note, just to kind of see how the EMA line works, as you can tell, price was bearish here. In other words, price is under EMA, so it's holding as a bearish resistance level, and it tried to break above, rejected, tried to break above, rejected, and kind of consolidated, broke above, but then it bounced off of the VWAP line. You see this happen a lot, where the price is above EMA and below VWAP, and it didn't break and hold, so therefore it became more bearish, and it continued to go down, and it lost and came down pretty hard, down to about 445, 447 range, and now it's been kind of rallying back up to the $5 range, so it's kind of continuing upwards. Okay, so again, just try to note that's how the EMA works, and oftentimes you want to wait for confirmation. To me personally, confirmation in this case would be to wait for the price to jump above the VWAP line to hold for no less than just say 3 to 5 solid green bars. In other words, we want to see 5 green candlesticks preferred, sometimes 3, but usually 5. So if you look back here, you see this. Let me see if I can zoom in for you. These candlesticks here, there is no confirmation here, right? See, it peaked above, came back down. This one peaked above, but it didn't close above the VWAP line. This one closed above, this one didn't, this one closed above, this one didn't. So when it has this red-green pattern, I call it the Christmas pattern, that really doesn't help. That doesn't give you confirmation. It shows there's a state of indecision. And me being kind of a conservative trader, I like to wait for confirmation and not risk entry if it's just going to reverse and I don't know what direction it's heading. Okay, so I like to buy when the price is actually trending. It's like a quarter or half the way up in its momentous trend. That's me personally. Some people try to chase the bottom and get lucky, but I really feel like it's too risky to try and do that. This is less risky. So if you're the kind of person that likes to ensure that you get gains, even if they're smaller gains, then I would maybe recommend you entertaining using a tactic like this. Either way, that is essentially what I'd recommend here for RLC. Not much else to really extract. I mean, the 1 minute chart really just tells us that it is trending upwards and it's holding EMA, but until it breaks above the VWAP, I wouldn't bother taking entry. And what you'd want to see again is to see the EMA line continue to hold. Price comes above VWAP and holds for no less than just say 3 to 5 minutes. We want to see 3 to 5 solid green bars in a row above the VWAP line. That's confirmation that I look for. 15-minute chart is effectively the same concept. You want to make sure the price is over VWAP and the EMA, but just make sure you get confirmation over VWAP first before taking entry, because as you can see right here, the price is still under the VWAP line, and that is essentially currently the most significant resistance line as of yet. It broke above here for a moment, but it lost and came back below. All right. So again, just be cautious, be careful in this market right now. Best thing to do is to try to, find the lowest point that you can, but you want to wait for confirmation too. Okay. Also, just friendly advice: when Bitcoin does what it did recently, pay attention to what Bitcoin's doing, and have that perhaps be your catalyst for taking entry. All right. So if we see Bitcoin, recovering and doing well on just say the 15-minute chart, and it comes above, perhaps just say on the 4-hour chart, one of these support levels, or the correction of the resistance lines, and creates a support, then that would be a green light to go further in. But for right now, with Bitcoin kind of consolidating, so to speak, you can expect other altcoins to do the same for a little while and eventually take off. Some will jump up real fast just because they've been held down for too long. In this case, this one was being pushed down further. The average true range is probably in the range of $6 to $9. That's what it should be at for the price. We saw that with the resistance and the support levels that it was working into. But with Bitcoin driving the price down recently, it had to sell off, it had to come down. So I have no doubt in my mind that RLC will recover and come back up over $6, which was the previous, I believe that was the previous support level. Let's see. So previous support was, okay, 650. So 650 was the previous support level. So I would like to see the price come up over $6.50, and then we should be able to see a state of consolidation and progress upwards. So, again, as long as Bitcoin doesn't do a massive sell-off like it did, it's okay if it fluctuates up and down. As long as it doesn't do that, then we can expect the price to come anywhere between $6.50 and probably upwards of $10 in the next couple of weeks. All right. So I hope that happens, and I appreciate you watching and tuning in, and obviously continuing to show your support. Thank you so much to my Patreon community. You're all very, very awesome, as well as my Telegram community too. You guys keep me going. So thanks again for everything, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.